Hey there, my name is Tyler Edwards. I'm a filmmaker based out of Charleston, South Carolina, and in this video I want to give you 5 tips for filming interviews. So the first tip is using soft light or diffuse light for your key light. Now the key light is your main source of light that is lighting your talent, and it is typically more preferred to use diffuse light over a hard light source on skin tones because it hides blemishes better and it looks more natural and pleasing as opposed to using hard light. Now you can achieve soft light in a number of different ways. You can use a softbox. For example, I'm using a softbox right now in front of a light to get soft light, or you can use some sort of other diffusion fabric. You can bounce light, or even on a cloudy day, you can sit by a window and get soft light that way. Now the next tip is using hard light to create more texture in the background. See, our camera sensors really see the world in a two-dimensional space, and we use lighting to create more texture and make the image look more three-dimensional, and hard light is a really great way of doing that. Now you can do this a number of different ways. You can use hard light modifiers like a spotlight mount or even a Fresnel or something like that. And what you can do is you can either push light through a window to create texture coming straight from the window to make it look like sunlight or something like that. Or you can even use something like a spotlight mount and use gobos in there to kind of break up the pattern a little bit. Or if you don't have any of that, you can just get a piece of cardboard and cut out a pattern and create what's called a cucurloris or a cookie, and that will help kind of break up the light pattern and kind of create some more texture there on the background. And what this does is just adds a little bit more visual interest to the background, and sometimes it can even help create motivation for your key light if you don't already have a motivated source in your frame. Now moving on to tip number 3, and that is camera position. So typically what I like to have is 2 cameras at least when I'm filming an interview. That gives me an A camera and a B camera. Now for both cameras, I want to be filming on the shadow side of the talent's face. And basically what that means is if the talent is talking off camera, which is pretty typical for interviews, I like to be filming towards the shadow side of the face. That adds just more three-dimensionality to the image. Now, as for the cameras and lenses, typically what I like to do on my A camera is be a little bit wider of a field of view, a little bit wider of a focal length, maybe let's say 25 millimeters. And what that does is just gives me a little bit more context and environment to where I'm filming. And then the B camera, I like to do at least twice the focal length of my A camera. That's a pretty safe combination, and it gives enough of a difference of the framing that it doesn't look like you're cutting to the same focal length, and it keeps it more visually engaging. All right, the next tip is getting good, clean audio. Audio is so important for filming interviews, and many would argue it's just as important, if not even more important, than getting a good image, because poor audio quality is going to be more distracting than poor video quality. So typically what I like to do for an interview is, number 1, I like to run a boom mic overhead. This is going to be the most natural sounding audio that you can get, and getting the microphone really close to the talent's face is really important to get the clearest audio possible. Next up, I like to usually hide a lavalier microphone on the talent as well. That way I can either use it as a backup audio source, or in some cases the lavalier audio might even sound better depending on the environment. And then I'll run those microphones into a separate audio recorder so I can get 32-bit float audio recording. Now when you have a separate audio recorder and multiple cameras filming the interview, what I like to do, and this leads me into tip number 5, is run timecode into all of those devices, and that just really makes syncing everything up in post much easier. And for one interview, you can maybe get away with doing some kind of slate or clap or something, but if I'm filming maybe 5 or 6 or 7 interviews in a single day, having timecode really helps with organization and keeps things much quicker in post-production. And if I'm sending it off to an editor, they really appreciate when I have everything synced up with timecode. But one thing you have to make sure of is that your cameras, your audio recorder, and all your timecode boxes are set to the exact same frame rate. Otherwise, syncing up with timecode in post-production really isn't going to work. Well, I hope you found this helpful or useful. If you did, you can find me on YouTube at Tyler Edwards, where I have more videos like this focused on filmmaking and photography and lighting and all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you over on my channel.